Ingenuity is a Los Angeles-based post facility. We've been doing a variety of work in commercials, television, and film for the last 11 years. My name is Grant Miller. I'm a creative director and visual effects supervisor. I was supposed to be a banker. Everyone in my family is a banker, and I dislike ties and banks. So one of the things I really think people appreciate about Ingenuity is just the consistency in the team. We're always improving on the work that we're doing instead of just kind of starting from scratch with a new batch of freelancers every time. The Power Rangers project that we worked on was a short film directed by Joseph Kahn. He was going to do kind of a sci-fi short film and really wanted to kind of take Power Rangers and put it into that gritty universe. When we watched the initial cut, there's Power Rangers that are just running around in a desert in the opening scene in Power Ranger suits and nothing's happening. And it looks ridiculous. Like, is this gonna be a thing that we're gonna be able to put enough visual effects in here to have this not look absurd? So we knew we had to build out, giant robots fighting and had to do a ton of explosion work and stuff like that, all just in the opening first minute of the short film. Took about 6 months to complete post because there's a ton of visual effects. I think there were over 200 shots, almost a feature film count of effect shots. So there was a lot of work involved. So most of Power Rangers was done in 3D Studio Max with V-Ray. Started to switch to MODO towards like the last third of the project. And then all that stuff is rendered out and composited inside of Nuke or Nuke X, kind of depending on what we need. So when we first started using MeshFusion, I've found that for what we use it's kind of best to just do detailing work on top of an existing model. As a 3D modeler, I have a ton of experience creating kind of base geometry with standard box modeling and kind of topology tools. But then when you get to the difficult parts where you're trying to kind of detail out that geometry, that's where MeshFusion really shines. And the nice part is there's just so many happy accidents that you kind of come across. You're using this piece of software and it's interactive and you're able to make clean, nicely milled Boolean cuts, and you can just kind of position the geometry around, find the best angle to make that cut line, and not have to think about the topology, not have to think about reworking that later, and it's all still live. So if in the final model the director comes back and says, I need 2 panel cut lines here, and it's very easy to make those changes, as opposed to if you had modeled all that stuff in a kind of a standard modeling package, you'd pull your hair out when you got that note back. One of the things that MODO really does a great job of is just taking kind of the standard tools that you use on a daily basis and looking back at the 15 years that we've been using those tools and kind of distilling them down to the best version possible. Really kind of giving you all of the options that you need to achieve the work that you're doing with the simplest tool set possible so that you can use it in the most creative fashion.